Good morning, everyone. I'm Luis Herrera, City Librarian, and I'd like to welcome you to the Visitation Branch Library. We are very thrilled to be here today with Mayor Lee. And just a little bit of context about this neighborhood branch. This July will mark the 5th anniversary of the opening of this gem of a library. And we're very proud of it because the community has fully embraced it. It serves about 23,000 residents, and it is indeed the most diverse neighborhood in all of San Francisco. So we're extremely proud of that. Great partnerships with the community. You'll see a lot of children today, so we're very proud of the fact that it serves many daycare centers, middle school, high school. We work closely with all of the various community partners to make this a thriving civic anchor for our neighborhood. So with that, again, welcome to the Visitation Valley Library. And I'd like to introduce, we're very proud of the support he's provided for the library, Mayor Ed Lee. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Luis, and welcome everybody to the Visitation Valley Branch Library. This is one of those gems that way back in Public Works days, Luis, that we teamed up together with our Public Works Department and redesigned this beautiful, beautiful building. And I think all of the residents who use the library with the families and kids, I think appreciate how we've restored this building with the great architectural touch, as well as the actual content and the hours. And this is an example of what we're talking about that's reflected in our budget that's for neighborhoods. I've always loved this city because it had strong neighborhoods, and one of the anchor institutions that make our neighborhoods strong is our public libraries. And so very in opposite to what sometimes I read about other cities when they have economic troubles, they first and foremost, they go after their libraries. I think we do the opposite. And then when the economy is strong as it is historically today, we're going to invest in more of our public libraries. This is where places work. And I want to say just thank you to our librarian. He's been a wonderful leader, and for letting us borrow a little bit of their family and children's space. If we're here too long, too many minutes, these kids are going to get rowdy. And they have every right to, because this is their space, and I'm going to respect that. But I think they know why I'm here. I'm happy to be here to unveil our May 1st budget. But before I do that, I want to share a bit of good news, and that's that in concert with our libraries and in concert with the great leadership of library staff that's here in every branch that we have in the city, we are announcing an increase to our library hours for the entire city. That means that there will be a minimum of at least 50 hours a week that our libraries will be open. Be more programs, more story time to be reading to and to be read to in branch libraries like this. This is part of the enrichment programs that are vital to our families, to our children. And in fact, a number, I think there's at least 3 to 4 that will extend their hours right to 7 days a week. That's an incredible part to join the other libraries that have been doing so, but every library will have a minimum of at least 50 hours. The Chinatown branch, the Ocean View branch, and the Mission Library branches will be at least 3 that will experience physical upgrades to make sure that they're the libraries for the 21st century. And, you know, I will emphasize, just a few years ago, we were having to consider cutting so many things. We had double-digit unemployment. Yet again today, as a result of our good investments, result of having great bond ratings and borrowing opportunities, we're going to invest in our libraries and make sure that they reflect what we want for our families, for our kids, for our parents. A safe, clean place to read, to learn. More and more, as you see our libraries, they're full of computers now too, so they can access the internet, learn how to use it effectively. We do that, and I know we do that in our Bayview Library branches and other branches, so that we can use the libraries as one of our instruments to fill the digital divide at the same time.
Excuse me, how can you do that when the Frisco Five are dying? How can you
Yeah.
be gentrifying this neighborhood and kicking people out? They're kicking me out right now while people are dying
Thank
of
you.
hunger because of police brutality. Fire chief, sir!
Right.
Fire chief, sir!
And for anyone to suggest that investing in our neighborhood branch libraries is gentrification is, I think, an incredible gap of understanding. But let me say this, and I'll want to make sure that that the 12 departments of the city, out of the 53 departments, is the announcement for today's May 1st budget. Those 12 departments comprise of the 4 enterprise departments and a number of departments that have fees as their rather than the general fund as their major source of revenue. And it includes all of the departments that deal with our city's basic infrastructure. They together, all 12 together, comprise some $4.9 billion in investments in the next 2 years that create and sustain some 41,000 jobs in the city. This is the announcement today, and I'm very proud of their working with our office. They're working, and they'll be presenting, of course, in this budget to the Board of Supervisors, and we'll seek their approval of their budgets, and that it continues our strong economic foundation for the city in making sure that we take care of our infrastructure. In these 12 departments, and they include departments like the airport, the port, our Public Utilities Commission, our Municipal Transportation Commission, or our building inspection, as an example. You have at the airport, they're going to continue refurbishing our terminals, making sure that they support the incredible historic levels of visitors that are coming in our city. They also have such an incredible turnout that the airport's building its own hotel on the peninsula, and that will again be part of our visitor experience that will be clearly reflective of the number one economic driver in our city, that's tourism and hospitality. We'll also make investments with our port in what I think is going to be one of the biggest infrastructure challenges of our time, also a challenge for our resiliency, and that's making sure that our sea wall is going to be there for hopefully another century or two. The seawall is something that we're going to be teaching the public about because it's underground, it's along the entire eastern side of our city, and you don't see it. It's below ground, but if we don't rebuild that seawall and make sure it's safe, everything along our waterfront, from the Embarcadero to our piers, is going to be under incredible challenge. With our PUC, they'll be making investments in our water system, in our sewer system, and our power system, and MTA that will be improving transit, making sure our cities are safer and longer lasting, and also includes funding for some 30 Vision Zero projects that total some $70 million. We want to complete our current Vision Zero projects ahead of schedule. We want to make sure that our goal is met in 2024. So this budget will do that. We'll also have something that we've been experiencing, particularly in the mission, and that is a much more culturally effective response and prevention to these fires, to anything that will destroy affordable housing. So we have within this, and again, thanks to the leadership of Tom Hui and the building inspection, a collaboration going on with our fire department to ensure that education in our communities where fires seem to be still ones that we want to prevent from happening, that will have a culturally competent response to that, making sure that all of the residents and the building owners have a higher level of safety for these very valuable historic buildings and buildings that are housing a lot of affordability at this time. Those are the SROs and the low-income apartment buildings that still exist in the Mission District. This budget will also reflect the moving forward and the Muni Forward Muni program that we have that increases the service abilities by at least 10%. Muni seems to be enjoying a little better relationship with our riding public these days, and we want to continue that investment. Make sure that we continue to have free Muni for our elderly and for people with disabilities, along with youth up to the age of 18. And again, to also make sure that we're investing in the routes that make Muni more efficient, gets people moving to their places of work or to their education or even to their branch libraries in a more efficient way. This is just the May 1st budget with these 12 departments. The other departments that are general fund related will be part of our June 1st budget, and we're working hard on that, and we're making sure that we could step up with the sum $246 million of challenge that we have. It's a deficit that we have currently for the next 2 years, and we'll bridge that without decreasing services in the general fund departments, and we're working hard on that, and we'll be ready for it to have a balanced budget by June 1st, and also already beginning discussions with members of our Board of Supervisors so they know what we're doing in a very transparent way. We're holding community meetings, we're holding neighborhood meetings, we're holding meetings with all of the supervisors to get their input on what they would like to see this next 2 years budget reflect. The budget itself is a reflection of our city's values, and will continue reflecting that. We've been able to balance our budget, certainly my term as mayor, for the last 5 years, and we'll continue doing so, filling the gaps, making sure that the cuts that may come from the state or the federal government that we want to reflect in our budget are taken care of. But other things, whether they're homeless shelters, improvement, or navigation centers, or more affordable housing, or the challenges of affordability in general, I think, for example, these branch libraries is a huge contribution to affordability because they're all free, they're all safe. They have the modern technology in them, but also the books that we increase, and they're linked to our public education system. They're linked to our neighborhoods that are strong. They're linked to even small businesses who might want to come in and take a respite from their small business, can come in and get on the internet and maybe open up another business if they want to through our business portal. All of that can happen in our branch libraries. So with that, I want to say that we're happy to initiate this May 1st budget of the 12 departments, and we're working very hard to make sure that the rest of the departments get the treatment that they deserve, and we'll have more announcements in the coming weeks. Obviously, we're working with the board, neighborhood groups, everybody who wants more out of the budget. We can do this because we have a strong economy. We can do this because we're transforming, or actually transporting, if you will, the kinds of revenues that we do see from every event like the Super Bowl and others to the actual neighborhoods that need them, and continue building strong neighborhoods. With that, I can take a few questions if you have them on the budget or anything else, and then we'll go on.
Mr. Mayor, you mentioned that Chinatown Library is going to see a fiscal upgrade.
Yeah.
How much money are you talking about, and what are some of the changes that are coming?
Well, it's an old library, just like this was, and the physical changes we've identified in some of the paperwork that we're passing out. They're kind of behind the walls. They want more technology in the branch libraries, and I think part of that improvement will be upgrading the wiring system that's been very old. We don't have room to expand, so we actually have to compensate for that limited space and make sure that all the space is used and upgraded with wiring and new technology. We also will increase those hours in the library, like I said, in all the branch libraries, including Chinatown, that will have their library hours expanded as well. Whenever I've gone there, it was very crowded, and everybody's using them throughout the weekend. So expanding those hours was also part of the deal.
For the MTA's improvement, that will be including what kind of interaction will be included?
Well, certainly Muni has everything to do with transportation. So one of the programs that we're supporting is called Muni Forward, and that means increasing the services of Muni by at least 10%. And all the services include additional routes. It includes improved routes. It includes making sure Muni moves more deliberately on those routes in a safe way. So it's very hard to get you all the specifics, but we can do so because it's part of that Muni Forward plan that they've approved. At the same time, they have some 30 Vision Zero projects that will make the streets safer, make them engineered and designed to be safer, slow down traffic where these projects have proven that the traffic is going too fast. People are not taking the turns in a safe way to potentially cause safety challenges for pedestrians, for seniors. All of that is encompassed in these 30 additional projects that we want to complete. And we want to do so, and it costs some $70 million. That's all encased in those Muni projects. And then, of course, keeping Muni free for seniors and people with disabilities, for youth, keeping all that free, that's still part of this 2-year budget as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, you get your room back, kids.